Hello there guys, it's your Bubulkaun here, back again on another video, and today I'm going to do what if deku was adopted by Mirko, part 2, hope you enjoy it. So before we start, I apologize for not uploading this what if earlier or before. I was busy with my final exams. I'll try to make it as long as possible, but I don't think it will be as long as the other what ifs, aka abandoned. So before we start this part, a recap is needed because this video was almost 3 weeks ago. So last part we covered Deku's backstory and how even though he was quirkless, he was still happy because he had the support of his family. And because his dad in this what if is in the picture, he encouraged him to train. And he tell him that he doesn't need a quirk to be a hero. So from age 5 to 10, Deku trained. And this became a habit to him. Remember, this is important. And everything seems well, but sadly at the night of his birthday, his 10th birthday, and while they are coming back from the amusement park, Deku and his family got jumped by Muscular, and all of them were severely injured, life-threatening even. But Deku's dad in his last breath sacrificed himself by blowing the car while Muscular was close to him, and that forced him to retreat. But sadly Deku's dad died in explosion, and his mom succumbed to her injuries. But in her last breath she told Mirko to protect Deku and not leave him alone. After that, Deku was taken to the hospital, and after a week he woke up in a panic because he doesn't know where he is, plus because of the fight against Muscular, his quirk manifests himself. And like you guys already expected, or some of you guys expected, Deku got stronger because of that experience. Basically, he got a Zenkai boost, so no one in the hospital was able to stop him, only Mirko. And after pinning him to the ground, she told him to calm down and tell her his name. And to the shock of everyone, even Deku, he doesn't remember. And I think that's it for the summary, so let's begin. So a couple of days went by since last part. And during this time they were able to get information about Deku and his parents, so they finally tell him his name. Then they ask him if this make him remember anything. He shook his head. Then Mirko asked the doctor, so what should we do next? The doctor tell her that he doesn't know. Maybe if they took him to somewhere familiar, like his home, that maybe will jog his memory. So he can tell us what happened that night? Remember guys, they don't know what exactly happened that night. They know that they were attacked by a villain, but that's it. Then Mirko tell them, I will take him. They ask her if she's sure. She tell them, yeah. Plus, I'm the only one who have enough power to stop him if we have another outburst. And they cannot deny that, so they let her take him. Not immediately. It will take a couple of hours to fill the forms. Meantime, Mirko approached Deku and tell him, so kid, Deku looked at her, do you want to get out? Deku nod. Then he asked her, you guys told me that my name was Izuku Midoriya, right? She nods. So what happened to my parents? Where are they? Mirko got serious and tell him, you really want to hear this, kid? Deku nod. She took a deep breath and tell him, they died. A villain killed them before we arrived, so sadly we don't know who. That's why I will take you to your family home. Hopefully that will jog your memory. Then she suddenly stopped looking at Deku and he's crying. She told him, kid, you're okay? Deku looked at her, tell her, yeah. Then he realized that he's crying. I'm crying? But why? I feel sad, but I don't know why. Mirko immediately pulled him for a hug. Then she started thinking, even though right now he don't remember them, deep down he still do. Poor kid. And Deku kept crying for a few minutes, and after he stopped, Mirko asked him, is he okay now? He slowly nodded and asked her when we can leave. She replied, we will take a couple of hours to get the form ready, so sit tight. He nodded. Then she went out for a while, and when she came back, she was holding a bag. She gave it to Deku and tell him to put this on. Your clothes got torn because of the fight. Deku nod and tell her, thanks. She smiled and tell him, anytime, kid. So after a couple of hours, Deku got discharged, and they went straight to Deku's house. When they arrived, she asked him if he feel anything familiar. Does this make him remember anything? Deku shook his head. Nothing, he replied. Alright, let's go in. They do, and after a few minutes, they found Deku's room. It have a tag that named Izuku, so it's obvious it's his. They went in and he have a few or quite a few of All Might figurines. Not as much as the anime, but still quite a few. I see that you are a fan of All Might, she tell him. All who? He asked. She tell him All Might, the strongest hero, the #1 hero. It looked like that you are a big fan of his. Deku start looking left and right and tell her, yeah, it looked like it, but it doesn't ring any bells. By the way, there is a punching bag in Deku's room, so Mirko understand why Deku was decent at fighting. Then she saw something just beside it on the ground, and it looks like a notebook. She opened it and she was surprised about what she saw. Information about heroes, about their quirks and potential weaknesses in a decently detail. Then she thought to herself, wow, this kid is not only strong but also smart. It's a shame that he forgot everything. Then she turned around and told Deku, yo kid, do you? Then she stopped when she saw Deku crying once again. And he's holding a picture frame. She come close to him and see a family picture with him smiling. Then she asked him, do you remember them? Deku shook his head. Just hearing that they are gone make me sad. Then Deku started clenching his fist. More and more, the sadness started becoming anger. He put the picture frame and started walking to the door. Mirko stopped him and tell him where he's going. Deku shouted that he's going to find whoever killed them and make him pay. Then she asked him, do you remember him then? Deku tell her, no, but I will, and I don't care if I have to beat every villain that come in my path. Deku shook her hand off and started walking. But Mirko jumped in front of him and tell him that's not the way, kid. Deku shout, move! Make me. So he charged at her, and this time Mirko kicked him with enough force that sent him flying across the room and slammed him against the wall. Deku is panting, gasping for air. Then Mirko tell him, calm down kid, I know that you are upset, but it's not the way. Your parents didn't want you to live a life of hatred. Deku shouted back, how do you know? She tell him because of this. She give him the notebook. In the pages almost like a diary. In it, Deku described how he trained with his dad, with some word of encouragement, and the promise that he made to go to UA and become the strongest hero that he can be. Deku put the notebook close to his chest and started crying. So Mirko walked up to him and hugged him. Listen kid, I will not lie to you. I will not tell you that I can understand what are you feeling right now, because I don't. But with this little information that I have on your parents, I can say that they will not want you to live a life of hatred and revenge. They want you to live a normal life. Well, as normal as this society let you. So I'll give you an offer. Let me give you that life. I won't say that will be easy, but I promise you that I will do my best. So let me help you, Izuku. Then she extended her hand. Deku looked at the notebook, then looked at her, then he took her hand. She helped him up. You know, I just remembered something. She was surprised and tell him, what? I need to get stronger. She tell him, that's easy to do. I can give you a proper workout, but why? I don't know, Deku replied. I just know that I need to get stronger. Maybe because of this UA school? I don't know. Then Deku grabbed his head in pain. She told Deku to take it easy, don't push yourself. For now, let's go to my place. And they go to her house. Then she starts moving Deku's clothes from his old house to hers, and anything sentimental that she can find. Family photos, anything. And after they were done with that, she told Deku, so you are okay with me adopting you, right? You can still keep your family name if you want. I will not force anything on you. Deku simply nodded. And after she signed some paperwork, Deku is officially her kid. But before she went home, she went to the hospital and asked them about Deku's quirk. What is he actually? Because she found something a bit odd. They asked her to explain, and she told them that the clothes that she took from his house, they don't have a hole for his tail. The doctor told her that he will do some digging. And in a few hours, he told her that he found something. The kid was actually an unknown. And after explaining what an unknown is, Mirko started thinking. He lost his parents, his only family, but he got a quirk. Sucky exchange if you ask me. Then Mirko thanked the doctor, then the doctor tell her, once he is stable enough, bring him back for us to know what exactly is his quirk. She nodded, then he continued. And just in case, because we did see that he's quick to anger, try not to take him to a place that will make him remember his past, to avoid any complications. And the reason he tell her that, it's because she did tell him what Deku did in his house. You know, getting enraged. She not thanked him and went back to her house. When she arrived, she saw that Deku finished unpacking everything and he's reading his notebook, but she can see that he's still sad. She started thinking what to do. She's new to this. She knew how to beat villains, but not raising a kid. Then she remembered what he told her. Then she tell him, kid, if you're up to it, we can train. Yeah, sure, why not? Deku replied. So they start training, and Deku quickly feel that this is nostalgic in some way. So after a brutal, for Deku, training session, Mirko told them, I think that's enough for one day. Let me get you something to eat. She turned around, but before she went, Deku stopped her by telling her, thanks for everything, Miss Mirko. She smiled and tell him, don't mention it, Izuku. Plus, call me Rumi. Mirko is my hero name, but use whatever you want. Deku nodded. So from this point on, we have a small time skip, almost like a year. During this time, Deku kept training with Mirko, and because she's a power hazard like All Might, you can bet that Deku will be stronger. But because she knows that he's a kid, she always holds back. Then over time she realized something. His strength growth is remarkable, especially when they go a bit serious. Or she go a bit serious on him. But that always happen after he heal. She start thinking maybe it's his quirk? If so, he have the potential to be stronger than me. So before you ask, for the first 5 months Deku did not study at all. Mirko realized that he's not mentally ready. But after the 5 months, he's not completely ready to go back to school. Combine that with the fact that he completely forgot about his study of earlier grades, she decided to homeschool him. And because of her personality, she was doing it herself at first. And like she expected, Deku is quite smart. He's catching up pretty quick, or it's just because of the information is still inside his head. He just needs to remember it. But I digress. So in 5 months, Deku is in the same level, education-wise, with students of his age. So after that, Mirko realized that Deku is stable enough to take him to the doctor, in the way she told him. You know, I just realized something about your quirk. Deku raised an eyebrow. What is it? Whenever you get beat up and heal, you become stronger. So that's why you're able to hold 2 security guards with 1 hand each. Then Deku tells her, so if I break something in my body and heal, I'll become stronger? She tell him, yeah, a bit concerned, but promise me that you won't do it. Getting stronger is good and all, but because there's a high chance if you break something, it will be permanent. Deku tell her, yeah, don't worry, I am not a masochist. I don't like pain. Plus training with you is painful enough as it is. Mirko just chuckled. Well, you asked for it, so. Deku sighed and tell her, yeah, I know, mom. And that make Mirko stop in her track. What did you just call me? Then Deku tell her, oh, sorry about that, it just slipped. So if I make you uncomfortable, it won't happen again. But she cut him off and tell him, no, it's okay. You can call me whatever you want because technically I am your mom. It's just you took me by surprise. I didn't expect you to call me that this early. Plus, I didn't want to force it on you. I don't want to replace your parents because I know how much they mean to you. Deku replied, yeah, I know, but it just felt right. For the past year, you took care of me. We don't know each other at all, and even with that, you open your house to me. Heck, whenever I have an outburst, you always stop me. But I'm pretty sure that was not hard for you. And that make Mirko grin. Plus, you're always there for me. So I feel that acknowledging you as my mom is the least thing that I can do. Mirko pull him for a hug and tell him, well, I'm happy that you're happy, son. Deku hug her back. Okay, let's get this doctor opinion over with so we can train. Deku smile and nod, but not kick in the face. I can still feel the last one. Mirko giggled and tell him no promises. Deku just sighed. So after that they went to the doctor and they do some tests on him. And they told them that his power is weird. So Mirko replied, how weird we are talking about because I did see some weird powers before. The doctor tell her, well, because of what you told us, we thought that he have 2 quirks, a power-up quirk and the Zenkai boost quirk. But our tests shows that his base vitality is off the charts. And that usually is for people that have laser type quirk. Both of them are shocked. So he can shoot lasers? Mirko asked. The doctor tell her most likely the results are here, but we don't know how we can control it. That's up to you guys to figure that out, but we will help you with everything that we can. Mirko was going to say that they don't need his help, but Deku beat her to it and tell him, thanks for the offer, but I can manage by myself. Mirko smiled and the doctor sighed. He's really her son, he thought. And then Mirko asked him, so what about his tail? The doctor told them, I don't know actually. We did have some people like him that have extra limb but without any use for them. Then Mirko told him, well, about his tail. Then she grabbed Deku's tail and pulled a little bit hard. And Deku immediately fell to his knees. Then Mirko told him, you see, it's almost like a weak spot. Just grab it and pull it a bit and he will not be able to move. Then Deku slowly mumbled, let go of my tail. Oh, sorry about that. Then she let go of his tail. Deku gets up. I will never get used to that. I did tell you before to not grab it. Yeah, I know, but we have to tell the doctor everything. Deku just sighed. The doctor tell him, that's interesting. I can see that is a weakness, but if it have this much effect on you, maybe it can do something else. But like I told you, I don't know, you have to figure that out yourself. So they thank him and they left. In the way back, Deku start grabbing his tail and start thinking. So Mirko asked him what's on his mind. Well, I know it's a weakness, Deku tell her. So maybe you can train it to become stronger, to make sure that that will not happen again. Mirko smirked, giggled and tell him, sure, why not, we can try. And by the way guys, Mirko is still doing her hero work. So most of the time Deku is all alone. Even though he can go out and interact with people, he can't seem to fit in. So the old Deku feelings are still there. So except Mirko, he doesn't talk with a lot of people. So I start listening to music. Well, it works for me, so it worked for him. Sorry about that, let's return to the story. So while she's away, he starts training his tail. And it was hard. At first, he wasn't able to stand at all. But slowly, with the weeks went by, he was able to stand, and after a few months, it seemed that he got rid of that weakness. Then he started thinking maybe he can do something else with it. He tried to grab a cup with it. It was hard, but he was able to do it somewhat. That will be useful. So this became his routine, training with Mirko and also studying at home. And when she go for patrol, he tried to master his tail. Plus he tried to figure out how to use his energy like the doctor tell him. But so far, no luck. And this continued for another year. During this time, Mirko did try to tease Deku by grabbing his tail, but to her shock, Deku was not fazed. In the opposite, he was able to use his tail to grab her, and for the first time she was actually forced to dodge. And then she kicked Deku that sent him flying across the room. She told him, "Oh, I took it too far, sorry about that." Deku slowly gets up. "Ow, that hurt. But let's continue. No pain, no gain, they say." Mirko grinned and they continued their training. But one day she decided to have a serious talk with him. So while they're resting, of course after training, she tell him, "Izuku, be honest with me. You still angry about what happened to your parents?" Deku looked down and tell her, "Yeah. It's not something that I can forget and forgive, you know?" She nods. "But remember," she tell him, "don't focus about hatred and revenge. That life is not a life. And I want you to live a normal life. And like I told you before, I think your parents do as well." Deku tell her, "I cannot guarantee anything, but I promise you that I will try my best." She smiled. "That's enough for me. Anyway, I have a late patrol today, so are you okay staying along tonight?" Deku nod and tell her, "Just promise me to be safe out there. I don't want to lose another family." She pulled him for a hug. He hugged her back. Then she tell him, "Who do you think you're talking to? I am the rabbit hero. If someone come in my path, I will kick him to death." Deku just giggled and tell her, "Yeah, I know." Then she went on her way. So Deku went back to his old routine, training his tail and listening to music. And after that he usually sleep, but this time he's not tired because he usually train with Mirko a bit longer. So he decided to watch some TV to pass the time, and what he saw shocked him to his core. Mirko a bit of battle damage, fighting a gentrification villain and some other villains. Deku knew that she can take them easily. The problem is there is a lot of civilians around, so she's constantly protecting them, leaving herself open. Deku's blood starts boiling. He will not lose another family to villains. He recognizes the area and starts running toward it. And after a few minutes he arrives. Mirko can easily defeat them. The problem is, like I said, civilians. Each time they try to run away, the villains attack them, forcing Mirko to protect them. And once they use this dirty trick again, Deku jumps from nowhere, kicking two of them to the ground. "Stay away from her," Deku shouts. Mirko tell him, "What are you doing here, kid? Leave, it's too dangerous." Deku tell her, "I am not leaving. I'm not going to lose another family because of some villains. This time, I will fight." Mirko smirked, knowing that Izuku will not back down. "This kid is more like me than I thought." "Alright Izuku, keep your guard up. And remember, like I taught you, hit him hard and hit him fast." Deku nod and they start fighting the villains. So this time, because there is two of them, and Deku is actually pretty strong for his age, because you know, 2 years training with Mirko, meaning most of the times he always got a Zenkai boost after they train, so they easily start wiping the floor with them. Even with using the dirty tactic, this time whenever they try to hit the civilians, Deku hit them, or Mirko. Then 3 of them charged at Deku. He was able to hold back 2 of them, and the third one sneaked behind him. But before he can hit him, Deku whacked him with his tail. Mirko smirk and tell him, "Not a weakness anymore." Deku smirk back and tell her, "Nope." Then the gentrification villain tried to attack them, but because he is so big and they are fast, they are able to dodge him, and he quickly realized that. So this time he aimed his punch toward the civilians. Deku and Mirko quickly grabbed them and jumps away. Then they took him at a safe distance, then they returned to the fight. Deku start thinking, what should we do? We should aim for his legs to make him fall. Then he tell Mirko his plan. She agrees with him. Then Deku looked at the villain and tell him, "You're done." Then he stop. Mirko tell him, "What's wrong, Izuku?" But he's not responding. He's just looking up, motionless. Then his tail start wiggling. Tonight it's a full moon. Then Deku start growling. He start getting bigger and bigger until he transforms to Anuzaro. Everyone is shocked, especially Mirko. They finally understand what his tail can do. Then Deku punched the villain so hard that slammed him against the ground, and he created a small shockwave. Mirko remarked that he also got stronger. Then Deku go on top of the villain and start hitting him again and again. The villain is bloody and beaten. Then Deku stopped and opened his mouth. Then he let out a beam, once again shocking everyone. The villain saw that. He tried to block it, but the blast was too strong for him. So he passed out and he's barely alive. But Deku is not stopping. He started going on a rampage. Then Mirko realized he's not in control. I need to stop him, but how? Then he started shouting at him, Izuku, stop! But she started thinking that is not going to work. But to her surprise, it actually did, or somewhat. Deku did stop and start staring at her. Then she started telling him, remember who you are, Izuku. Don't let that power control you. Deku started growling, but before he can touch her, he grabbed his head in pain. She can see that Deku is fighting for control, but it seems that he's not going to win this time. So she started thinking, I need to stop him, but how? He's completely different, he's big, Wait, something hasn't changed, he still have his tail. Could it be that? Then she jumps at Deku and using her ultimate move, Luna Ring, and cut his tail clean off. And Deku immediately started going back to his human form. Then he immediately passed out naked. Mirko immediately covered him and started thinking, sorry about that, Izuku, but that was the only way. Because she thinks that she permanently cut his tail off, meaning he lost one of his quirks. And I'm going to stop it right here. So what do you think of it, guys? Will Deku grow his tail back? If he do, will he be able to control this form? What will happen next? Leave your thoughts in comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, it helped me a lot. And if you are new, subscribe, there is more videos like this coming. And like always, guys, peace.